2025 is here, but before we can move forward, we must look backwards at the top 10 best movies of 2024. Just to be clear, this is an objective list, not a subjective one. So if the movie that isn't on here, but you're like, why isn't that movie on there? It's probably because it wasn't good enough. That's right, Dune Part 2 was kind of boring. Let's move forward. At number 10, I have Lisa Frankenstein. I gotta say, I wasn't really sure what to expect from this movie, but it was one of the more creative takes on Frankenstein that I've seen. You know, it's really more of a coming of age story than it is like a Frankenstein story. But I really liked the main character, Lisa. I really liked what they did with the Frankenstein sort of motif, I guess. And the movie was funny. It was endearing. I really like how a lot of the characters that you would kind of expect to be assholes in this sort of traditional settings, like, you know, Lisa has like a stepsister, and she's just like a really nice person. I don't know. I like it when movies do that, when they sort of just make characters that would be really easy to turn into assholes and just choose not to. But yeah, it's properly gross when it needs to be, being a Frankenstein story. But it's also very endearing, and I like the balance that they struck. So Lisa Frankenstein, highly recommended. That's my number 10. Number 9, gonna go with Wicked. I'm not really a musical person, I'm not gonna lie. You know, a lot of times I'm watching a musical, they break out into song, and I'm like, that's cringe. You're being cringe. You're posting cringe. But even I can't deny that Wicked was pretty spectacular. All the songs were pretty great. The production value, just the set design, and the musical numbers were sweeping and grand. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo were both pretty great in their roles. And, you know, good message, racism bad, right? I think we can all agree with that, right? Right? Don't look at Twitter in the past 24 hours. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just overall, it's a really solid movie, really well done. And even though I'm not really a musical guy, I can't deny the greatness of Wicked. It's just a fantastic film. At number 8, I have Hundreds of Beavers. You may not have heard this movie, but it is basically a modern day, like, Charlie Chaplin-esque, like, silent film. Although do silent films have sound effects? I don't fucking know. But either way, there's not any like dialogue. It's just all like slapstick comedy. It's all very it's kind of like live action Looney Tunes, but it's this guy who's trying to survive in the wilderness, and he's like becoming a fur trapper, and it is just genuinely hilarious. Like, again, it's all like slapstick comedy, but it's genuinely clever. It's not just stupid for the sake of being stupid. Although oftentimes it is stupid. It's often very clever. Tons of like genuine laugh out loud moments. And I just like super admire just the way that it's made, the way that it's like clearly like made on a budget, but never sparing. No, creativity is never what am I trying to say? It's always like done in the most creatively way possible, and it's all very effective. And yeah, it's one of the best movies of the year, even though it may not look like it. Highly recommend checking it out. Absolutely well done. And number 7, I have Blink Twice. So this is the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz, and I was pretty surprised by this. Like, watching this, it doesn't feel like a person that's never directed a movie before. Like, everything feels very purposeful. All the shots are, you know, very very meticulously crafted. And I really like with the story of it, what it was trying to say. I thought it was very interesting. Even if I don't necessarily, not necessarily sure if I completely agree with some of the stuff that it gets into at the end. I still enjoyed the way that it sort of communicated what it was saying. Sorry, I'm trying to trying to talk about all these without spoiling them so that people go watch them. But yeah, really well done. It's like a mix of like comedy, but also sort of suspenseful in a lot of areas. Yeah, honestly, just very impressive for a first time director, and it is one of my top 10 movies of the year. All right, at number 6, I have Anora. So kind of similar to Blink Twice. This is one of the movies that I just kind of watched and wasn't really sure what to expect from it. I personally didn't watch the trailer for it. But basically it's a story about a stripper, I think is what she's technically classified as. Not a prostitute. If you watch the movie, you'll know that she's not a prostitute. But yeah, she basically she at a point in the movie she becomes an escort, and the guy who she is the escort of, he's the son of a billionaire, and he asks her to marry her, and because of that, shenanigans ensue. So this is a movie that I would say for a lot of it you might be able to classify it as a comedy, but at the same time it is also in a lot of ways a drama, especially like in key scenes. It's okay, this is very obviously a drama. And I will say for most of it, I don't know that I would have necessarily put it as my top 10 movies of the year. But I gotta say, by the time it wrapped up, and honestly in the last 15 minutes or so, it really hit me. The ending really got to me, and I was like, yeah, that was great. That was overall really well done. So this is another one that definitely recommend checking out. Obviously I recommend all of these because they're my top 10 of the year. But yeah, Anora, really good. Go watch it. Number 5, Rebel Ridge. So I remember when when people were talking about this, they were basically calling it Black Reacher. And then I saw a bunch of other people were like, you youngins, ain't y'all seen Rambo First Blood? And to answer that question, no, I have not seen Rambo First Blood because I am a young Zoomer moron, and that's fine. So to me, it's kind of Black Reacher. But yeah, basically, it's a guy who is passing through this small town, and he ends up wrapped up with the police in this small town, and basically they end up causing trouble with him, and he has to go on a one-man crusade to clear his name. And I don't want to get too into it, don't want to spoil anything. And I will say, don't necessarily go into this movie expecting it to be all action all the time, because that is a complaint that I've seen of this movie, is that some people were expecting more action. And to be clear, or to be fair, I also went into it expecting it to have more action than it necessarily had. But I was always engaged in this movie. This is just one of those almost perfect movies for me, where I was just always engaged. I was always completely locked into what was going on. The guy who the lead is just fantastic. He I always just enjoyed watching him. Sorry, let me get that. Yeah, no, sorry. So this is one of those movies where it's kind of make or break with the performance of your lead, because you're really following him the entire time, and he's great. I forget his name, but he's also playing Jon Stewart in the upcoming Lanterns HBO show, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, Rebel Ridge is awesome. And while I mentioned that there isn't as much action as you would have thought, when the action is there, it's really slick and it's really well done. Like there's this one shot where he's like throwing a bunch of gas canisters, and that's like really good stuff right there. So yeah, Rebel Ridge, number 5. Number 4, I'm gonna throw in The Substance. Women, are y'all okay? Do y'all have something you wanna like get off of your chests? But yeah, The Substance, for people that don't know, it is a. I kind of don't want to like spoil it. Like this this is one of those again that I also just like walked into, not really knowing anything about it. What I will say is that if you are squeamish, maybe don't watch it, but it definitely gets into some body horror stuff, and it's basically a movie about like beauty, I would say, and about aging, I would say, and yeah, it's I really like the message behind it. Like it's just one of those things where, hey, listen, if you got some women in your life, tell them that they look good every now and then. You know what I mean? Obviously, don't do it in a not creepy way, but if you have like like older women in your life, especially, I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, no, I'm just trying to talk about the movie without fucking spoiling it, because it's just like one of those movies where you kind of don't even want to know what it's about before you go into it. So I would say it's really good. Just if you're squeamish, don't maybe stay away. But also don't be a pussy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. But yeah, women. Let the people in your life know if you need to talk. Okay. Jesus. But yeah, Demi Moore in it is good. Or great, fantastic. Margaret Qualley, also very good. Demi Moore is probably going to be nominated for Best Actress, I would assume, at the Academy Awards. Yeah, sorry, this is like one of those that I just feel like I don't want to talk about, just because people should walk into it kind of blind, in my opinion. So we're just going to move on. All right, at number 3, we have Mars Express. So, sorry, I'm getting over a cold. Don't know if you can tell. But this is like a French animated movie. And I will say, as you can see, the animation, it's not the best. It's not the most expensive. That being said, but yeah, like, it is, like, it's clearly a smaller, like, French animated movie, right? So, but what I will say is that even though the animation might not always look the most expensive, it still looks good. Like the artwork, the art design is very good. The framing of shots and whatnot, like all of that, I would argue is fantastic. But I guess to talk about what it's about, it is a sci-fi detective thriller, and it is absolutely fantastic. It's like one of those movies where I feel like we don't get a ton of these in live action made by Hollywood. Right? Like how many Blade Runner 2049s do we really get? And it's one of those things where it's like, hey man, I'll take it from a French animated movie, because this one is really well done. It's really fantastic. I think that a lot of the sci-fi concepts feel fresh, stuff that I feel like I've never necessarily seen a lot of the stuff in this movie before. I think the mystery as it unfolds is really good. I think a lot of the concepts that it gets into are very fascinating. Yeah, man, it's really great. I think that there are also some like twists and turns that I think are actually pretty bold, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Respect that you actually went there. So Mars Express, absolutely fantastic. If you like sci-fi stuff, definitely check it out. It's on. Unfortunately, this is one of those that's not. It's not streaming anywhere, but it is. I rented it on like YouTube for like $4. But warning, I would have watched it like in its natural French language with subtitles. On YouTube, I could only watch it with English dubs. So that was annoying. So maybe go watch it somewhere else. If you're not if you don't want to do that. All right. At number 2, I have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, I would just like to take this opportunity to tell all of the people in the general audience, fuck you. Quite frankly, I have zero respect for you. You don't deserve rights. And yeah, you should watch this fucking movie because it is absolutely fantastic. It like watching this movie, I'm not gonna lie, it was like one of the most like it truly is one of the most like just locked in experiences I've ever had in a movie theater. Like the second this movie started, I was just so locked in. I was so taken aback by the visuals. And I will say this, like I watched this first before watching Mad Max Fury Road. So this was also just like my first introduction to what's his name? George Miller. Yeah, George Miller's like take on on Mad Max in the modern age. And I was just absolutely blown away. I think the action in this is so stunning and so incredible. It's like such a breath of fresh air when it feels like so much action nowadays is all like shaky cam, yada, yada, yada. So many cuts everywhere. The way that George Miller just presents all of his stuff is just absolutely breathtaking. I absolutely adore like George Miller's approach to the apocalypse. Just how genuinely just full of despair it all is, and how almost animalistic everybody is. It's fantastic. Furiosa is fucking fantastic. It's also one of the best just like prequels that I think I've ever seen. Like I low-key can't even really imagine watching Mad Max Fury Road without having the context of Furiosa. Like I don't think I would even like that movie as much if I hadn't seen Furiosa first. So yeah, this movie is absolutely fucking fantastic. And general audiences, just going to take this opportunity once again. Fuck you. All right, let's go to our number one. Our number one is... Drumroll, please! Probably should have edited this down because this is really anticlimactic. It's Challengers! Oh shit, Sorry, I didn't. As audio. Fuck, it's Challengers. All right, this is a disaster. It's fine though. No editing. Okay, this is all done in OBS. Yeah, Challengers is fucking fantastic, man. I absolutely adored this movie. It is one of the most just like edited movies. It's one of the best paced movies of the year. Well, it is the best edited, most well paced movies of, and it is the most well paced movie of the year because it's the fucking number one movie of the year. But yeah, man, I absolutely love the twists and the turns that this movie took. And you know, just like one of the most appealing things about this movie to me is it just Zendaya and threesome? Not necessarily. See, what I appreciate most about this movie is that somebody went, hey, you know, tennis players, they kind of sound like they're having sex whenever they hit the ball. What if we made a movie about that? And that fucking rules. But nah, man, yeah, just like I mean, it's basically a movie about a love triangle, right? And the way that the love triangle develops was endlessly fascinating. I love the music in this film. I was like always driving it forward. It was really great. And yeah, I really go back to the editing and the pacing. It is just absolutely fantastic the way that they decide to do like reveals of like what characters feel and what they think. It was always really great, and yeah, like obviously not like a thriller necessarily, but I consistently had like those vibes and those feelings, you know, throughout of like, oh shit, I can't believe that happened. Whoa. So yeah, Challengers, my opinion, best movie of the year. It is the best Zendaya movie of the year. My apologies, Dennis Villamaglis, but yeah, Dune is just fucking boring. Okay, who gives a fuck? I just don't. You know what? Okay, here's the thing about Dune. Will I take the end of this opportunity to explain why Dune isn't on this list? Yes, I will. I just don't care about any of the characters in Dune, okay? Like, I don't give a fuck about Timothée Chalamet or Zendaya's character or Austin Butler's character. And, like, if I don't care about any of your characters, if I'm not invested in what happens to any of them, then I'm not going to care about this movie. It doesn't matter how good the cinematography is. It doesn't matter how hard Greg Fraser is carrying the movie. It is what it is. Like, I don't care. All right, but yeah, that's basically it. Those are my top 10 movies of the year. Obviously, I joke, I kid. It is all subjective. So let me know what your top 10 of the year are. Let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.